Jimmy Carter was a good guy, but just a terrible president. Carter was president during a very volatile time period in our nation's history. And I think that really the biggest thing is he just didn't rise to the occasion. I think that if he would have been president during an easier time, a period of time in which it wasn't so tumultuous, there wasn't so much discontent and world havoc, he probably would have been a fine president. But the fact remains that he just wasn't. While there was a lot of things that he actually did do fairly well, a lot of random deregulation that he doesn't really get a whole lot of attention for, which eventually would help the economy recover. However, on the domestic side of politics, we had a terrible economy. We had the Iranian hostage crisis. We had the Iranian Revolution. We had the Soviets invading Afghanistan, partially because of the weakness they saw at the White House. On top of that, we had the oil crisis. We had massive amounts of inflation and just overall quite a lot of discontent within the country. And when people didn't think that he was doing that good of a job as president, his thought was to blame the American people and tell them that there was a malaise on the country and you just had to accept your lot in life, versus the much better way of going about it, which was we can rise to the occasion, because that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear, oh, you just kind of got to accept that sometimes life sucks. A big part of the discontent with Carter came from just overall discontentment with politics in general. There was a 2-decade period of time in which just crap just kept happening to the American people, right? Kennedy gets shot, LBJ drags us into Vietnam, and there was a lot of discontentment on the home front because of that. But then also we had Nixon, and then Watergate, and then we had Gerald Ford, who was also a good person and did an okay job as president. However, he was not elected. And so people just overall didn't like that. Both of these guys ended up pardoning Vietnam draft dodgers, which nobody liked. And then Ford also obviously pardoned Nixon, and nobody liked that. At some point, I'll talk about him being kind of a weird president. And overall, I think Carter just couldn't quite rise to the occasion. He just wasn't a good enough president at the time period that the people needed. But like I said, he was a really good person. Even for the decades after his presidency, he's quite involved in a lot of humanitarian work. But